I walked into my marriage with Amanda believing I had found my forever. 4 years of building a life together, working overtime to afford our beautiful home in Minnesota, compromising to be closer to her wealthy family. Then came that brutal snowstorm last January. Exhausted from battling treacherous roads, I arrived home to find my key no longer worked. Through the frosted window, I saw them all. Amanda, her parents, her brother laughing, as Richard shouted, "Freeze to death. Worthless idiot. I never imagined my wife could be so cruel." Hey, before I continue the story, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that subscribe button if you have ever trusted someone who betrayed you. I met Amanda 4 years ago, at my college buddy's wedding in downtown Minneapolis. At 32, I had spent the last decade building my career as a construction project manager, putting in 60-hour weeks and saving every penny I could. Growing up in a blue-collar family taught me the value of hard work. Nothing was handed to me on a silver platter. Amanda stood out that night, not just because of her beauty, but the way she laughed so freely, drawing everyone into her orbit. Our connection was immediate and intense. When she told me her family owned North Star Furniture, one of the largest high-end furniture chains in the Midwest, I will admit, I was intimidated. My father had spent 40 years working the line at a factory before retiring on a modest pension. Our worlds could not have been more different. During our whirlwind courtship, Amanda was all warmth and affection. We moved in together after just 3 months, and by month 8 I proposed at her favorite restaurant overlooking Lake Superior. She cried happy tears, and I felt like the luckiest man alive. Meeting her family was another story. Richard and Diane Blackwell lived in a sprawling mansion in Wayzata, overlooking the lake. Their first words to me were, "Oh, construction." How interesting, in tones that suggested it was anything but. Her brother Jackson, who worked for their father, barely acknowledged me beyond a limp handshake. "They will warm up to you," Amanda assured me. "They are just protective of me." I believed her. I wanted to believe her. The wedding was larger than I had envisioned. 300 guests, most of whom were business associates of the Blackwells. My side was considerably smaller, just 30 friends and family members who looked out of place among the designer suits and cocktail dresses. "It is important to Daddy for certain people to be here," Amanda explained when I questioned the guest list. "His business connections matter." I let it slide. Marriage is about compromise, right? The first real warning sign came 3 months after the wedding. Amanda rushed out one Sunday morning explaining there was a family emergency. When she returned 8 hours later, her hair was perfectly styled and she smelled of expensive restaurant food. "I thought there was an emergency," I said, confused. "Oh, it was resolved," she replied vaguely. "Just a false alarm with Grandma Elise." 2 days later, I saw photos on her brother's social media, the entire family at their lake house, smiling and toasting with champagne. When I confronted Amanda, she sighed, as if I was being unreasonable. "It was just a family gathering, Wayne. You know how Daddy gets about his Sunday family traditions, but why lie about it being an emergency? I did not want you to feel left out. Daddy sometimes needs time with just us. Family only, you know." I did not know. In my family, spouses were family, end of story. These family-only events happened with increasing frequency, sometimes weekly. Meanwhile, my attempts to integrate into their circle were met with polite resistance. I would suggest hosting dinner at our house, only for Amanda to explain that her mother preferred entertaining at their place. I would offer to help Richard with a project at their lake house, only to be told he had his guys for that. The financial issues began subtly. Amanda and I had merged our accounts after marriage, my considerable savings and her money from working at her father's company. Despite my higher income, I noticed large withdrawals without explanation. When I asked about them, Amanda became defensive. "Are you monitoring my spending now? Do I need your permission to buy things?" "No, of course not. I just noticed some large withdrawals, and my father needed a short-term loan for a business opportunity. I will get it back with interest." I never saw that money again, or the next loan, or the one after that. Despite these issues, I tried to make our marriage work. I surprised Amanda with romantic dinners, weekend getaways, and thoughtful gifts. Sometimes I would catch glimpses of the woman I fell in love with, laughing at my jokes, cuddling on the couch during movie nights, planning our future together. Our house was another source of tension. We had purchased it with my savings $150,000 that had taken me years to accumulate. Amanda wanted to be closer to her parents, so we chose a neighborhood just 15 minutes from their estate. It stretched my commute to nearly an hour each way, but I agreed because it made her happy. A week after moving in, Richard showed up with a locksmith. Just getting some copies made for emergencies, he explained casually, not really asking permission. Dad has keys to all our properties, Amanda said when she saw my expression. It is for safety. Those keys meant unannounced. Visits became routine. I would come home to find Richard, Diane, and Jackson sitting in our living room as if they owned the place. Sometimes they would be discussing family business, falling silent. When I entered, "Do they really need to come over so often?" I asked Amanda one night after they left. "That is just how we are, Wayne. Family is everything to us. You should understand that by now." The week before the snowstorm, the Blackwell presence in our home intensified. Amanda claimed they were planning a surprise for her mother's upcoming birthday. But I caught fragments of conversations that made no sense in that context. He does not suspect anything. Everything is in place for Friday. The timing with the storm is perfect. When I entered rooms, conversations would stop abruptly. Amanda became increasingly cold, finding reasons to sleep in the guest room. "Just a migraine, or your snoring is too loud tonight." I tried talking to her, asking if something was wrong, if I had done something to upset her. Her answers were clipped, dismissive. "Everything is fine. You are imagining things." But I knew something was very wrong. I just never imagined how wrong. The blizzard warning started coming in early that Friday morning. The Weather Service predicted one of the worst storms in decades, with temperatures plummeting to -15 degrees and snowfall of 20 inches possible. As the construction site supervisor, I had to make sure everything was properly secured before sending the crew home. My phone buzzed several times throughout the day, with text alerts about the worsening conditions, but nothing from Amanda. I tried calling her twice, concerned about her driving in such dangerous weather, but both calls went straight to voicemail. "Hey, it is getting really bad out there," I texted. "Please let me know you are safe at home." No response. By the time I finished securing the site, the snow was falling so heavily, I could barely see 10 feet ahead. The drive home, normally 40 minutes, took nearly 2 hours of white-knuckle navigation through increasingly treacherous roads. Twice I nearly slid off into ditches. All I could think about was getting home, making sure Amanda was safe, and warming up with a hot shower and maybe some soup. As I finally turned onto our street, I felt a wave of relief, seeing several cars in our driveway. Amanda must have invited her family over to wait out the storm together. While not my first choice for company, at least, she was not alone. I parked behind Richard's Mercedes SUV and trudged through the already knee-deep snow to our front door. My fingers were numb as I fumbled for my house key, inserted it into the lock, and nothing. It would not turn. Confused, I tried again. Still nothing. I pulled out my phone to call Amanda when I noticed movement through the frosted front window. Wiping away the condensation, I could make out several figures in our living room. I knocked hard on the door. "Amanda." The lock seems to be stuck. The curtain pulled back, revealing Amanda, Richard, Diane, and Jackson. They were all holding wine glasses, and most disturbing of all, they were laughing. "Amanda," I shouted, knocking harder. "Let me in. It is freezing out here." Richard approached the window, his expression contemptuous. "Your key does not work anymore," he called through the glass. "And neither does your marriage." I stood there, snowflakes accumulating on my work jacket, unable to process what I was hearing. "What are you talking about, Amanda?" I turned my attention to my wife, who stood slightly behind her father. "What is going on?" She took a sip from her wine glass, her expression cold. "You should have seen this coming, Wayne. Did you really think someone like me would stay with someone like you forever?" The temperature was dropping rapidly. I could no longer feel my toes, and my face burned from the bitter cold. "This is insane," I shouted. "You cannot just lock me out of my own house in a blizzard. I paid for this house." This elicited more laughter from the group. Richard came closer to the door. "Freeze to death, worthless idiot," he shouted. "The house belongs to Amanda now. All properly documented and legal. You signed everything over months ago." I had signed no such thing. But a sickening feeling washed over me as I recalled the numerous documents Amanda had asked me to sign over the past year. Just routine insurance updates or refinancing paperwork to get a better rate. I pounded on the door again, my hands aching from the cold and impact. "Amanda, please, we can talk about this inside. I could die out here." She simply turned away, heading deeper into the house, our house, without a backward glance. The others followed, drawing the curtains closed. I tried calling the police, but my phone battery, already low and affected by the extreme cold, died mid-dial. The temperature had dropped to -12 degrees according to the car thermometer, and the wind chill made it feel even more deadly. My body was sending urgent warning signals. The shivering had become violent. My extremities had gone from painful to frighteningly numb. My thinking was becoming sluggish, a dangerous sign of advancing hypothermia. I had a choice: continue begging at the door of people who clearly wanted me dead, or try to find help elsewhere. I looked through the window one last time. Amanda was now sitting on our couch laughing at something her brother said. The woman I had loved for 4 years, who had promised to stand by me through better or worse, was casually sipping wine while I faced freezing to death outside. Something shifted inside me. A strange calm replaced the panic. I straightened my back, wiped the accumulating snow from my face, and turned away without another word. They wanted me to beg, to break, to die. I would do none of those things. The walk to the main road was harrowing. The snow now reached mid-thigh, and each step required tremendous effort. The wind cut through my work clothes like knives. Twice I fell, the cold snow seeping through my jeans and work coat. I focused on putting one foot in front of the other, fighting the dangerous urge to rest, just for a minute, a common final thought of hypothermia victims. After what seemed like hours but was probably 20 minutes, I spotted headlights through the swirling snow. A plow truck was making its way slowly down the main road. I summoned my remaining strength and waved frantically. The driver, a middle-aged man named Frank, later told me I was blue-lipped and incoherent when he found me. He helped me into his truck, cranked the heat, and wrapped me in an emergency blanket he kept behind his seat. "What the hell are you doing out in this?" he demanded, his face a mixture of concern and disbelief. Through chattering teeth, I managed to explain that I had been locked out. I left out the betrayal, the cruelty. It was too raw, too humiliating. Frank brought me to the Northwoods Motel off the highway, the only place still open in the storm. The elderly couple who ran it took one look at my condition and immediately brought me to a room providing extra blankets and a space heater. "You need a hospital," the wife insisted. But the roads to the nearest emergency room were already impassable. I spent that first night drifting in and out of consciousness, my body slowly recovering from the near-fatal cold. But the physical pain was nothing compared to the emotional devastation washing over me in waves. 4 years. 4 years of love, compromise, and building a life obliterated in an instant. And for what? A house money. Or just the cruel entertainment of watching me suffer. When the motel Wi-Fi came back online the next morning, I used the owner's tablet to contact my best friend Derek. He lived 2 hours away in Street Paul, but promised to come as soon as the roads were passable. "This is not right, man," he said, his voice tight with anger. "This is criminal." "I think it was planned," I said quietly, the realization dawning fully as I spoke it aloud. All those whispered conversations, the family meetings, they were planning this. Derek was silent for a moment. "Remember when she made you change your life insurance policy last year? Made it 500,000 instead of 100,000. A cold that had nothing to do with the blizzard settled in my gut. Wayne, Derek said gravely, "I think they might have been planning something a lot worse than just kicking you out." The storm raged for another full day, giving me time to think and plan while trapped in the motel. Derek arrived Sunday afternoon with dry clothes, my laptop from his house, and a spare phone. "First things first," he said, spreading out a notepad on the small motel table. "We need to protect whatever they have not already taken." I called my bank and discovered what I feared: our joint accounts had been systematically drained over the past month. My recent paycheck, deposited just 3 days earlier, was gone. The safety deposit box where I kept important documents had been emptied weeks ago. "Sir, your wife accessed it on January 7th, the bank representative explained. "She had the key and proper authorization." Of course she did. I had added her to everything after we married, believing in our partnership completely. With Derek's help, I found a lawyer who agreed to meet us at her office, despite it being Sunday. Sarah Gonzalez specialized in emergency financial situations and divorce cases involving fraud. What you are describing is not just divorce material, she said after hearing my story. This is criminal financial abuse, fraudulent documentation, and potential attempted murder by exposure. She helped me file emergency orders to freeze any remaining joint assets and begin documenting the financial trail. The lockout in life-threatening conditions was particularly serious. The timestamps on your final text messages to your wife, combined with weather service records for that day, will help establish the danger you were placed in. Sarah explained. We will also need statements from the plow driver and motel owners. While Sarah worked on the legal front, Derek and I began piecing together the larger picture. A search of Amanda's social media revealed photos of her with two different men before me, both with wedding rings visible. Did she ever mention being married before, Derek asked. Never, I replied, staring at the images in shock. She told me her last serious relationship was in college. Sarah's contacts at the county records office confirmed that Amanda had indeed been married twice before, with both marriages lasting less than 2 years. Both ex-husbands had moved out of state immediately after the divorces. This is a pattern, Sarah concluded grimly, and based on the financial records we are uncovering, those men likely suffered similar financial stripping. By Monday morning, we had uncovered enough to see the full scope of what had happened. Through a combination of forged signatures, misleading documents, and outright fraud, Amanda and her family had transferred the house deeds solely to her name, emptied our joint savings and checking accounts, maxed out credit cards opened in my name, redirected my quarterly work bonuses to accounts I had no access to, changed the beneficiary on my life insurance to her alone, taken out additional insurance policies on me without my knowledge. The most chilling discovery came from an unlikely source. Monday afternoon, I received a call from a number I did not recognize. Is this Wayne Mitchell? A female voice asked cautiously. Yes, who is this? My name is Taylor Blackwell. I am Amanda's cousin. We have never met, but I need to talk to you. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop near the motel. Taylor, a nervous woman in her early 30s, looked nothing like the polished, confident Blackwells I knew. They do this, she blurted out after anxiously shredding a napkin for several minutes. Uncle Richard, Aunt Diane, Amanda Jackson, they have done this before. Many times. She explained that the family business North Star Furniture was only part of their income stream. The real money came from what she called their marriage projects. They target well-off, hard-working people without strong family connections. They marry them, integrate their finances, and then extract everything, she said, looking down in shame. Usually they just force them out financially, but what I pressed. The last one before you, he had an accident at their lake house. Boating mishap. The insurance payout was huge. The coffee turned to acid in my stomach. I remembered Amanda's insistence last summer that we go boating at night. How disappointed she seemed when I declined because of an early work meeting. Why are you telling me this? I asked Taylor. Because I cannot live with it anymore. They threatened to cut me off when I questioned the last one, but this, leaving you to freeze to death. I cannot be silent. Taylor provided a written statement to Sarah that afternoon, along with names of others who had been victimized by the Blackwells' employees they had fired for questioning transactions, business partners they had swindled, and former household staff who had overheard damning conversations. My boss, Tom, called that evening concerned by my absence. The storm was brutal, but we are back up today. Everything okay? I found myself telling him the whole story, expecting sympathy, but not much else. Instead, he offered something unexpected. Our company legal team will back you up, he said firmly. That house was purchased with company bonuses we provided for your exceptional work. We have records of every payment. Plus, we cannot have people thinking Northland Construction abandons their people. By Tuesday morning, exactly 3 days after being locked out in the blizzard, my new phone began buzzing with notifications. Amanda had apparently realized something was wrong when the credit card stopped working and bank accounts showed as frozen. The first message was casual, as if nothing had happened. Hey, where did you go the other night? Call me. Then they escalated. Wayne. This silent treatment is childish. We need to talk. Your stuff is still here. Do you want it, or should I donate it? The bank says there is some kind of hold on our accounts. Fix this. By midday, the tone had changed dramatically. Wayne, please call me. I am worried about you. Whatever you think happened, you are misunderstanding. Daddy says we can work this out. Please come home. The messages from Richard and Diane started coming too. This is a family matter. Let us discuss this like adults. Your actions are going to have serious consequences for everyone involved. We have connections you cannot imagine. Stop this now. By evening, pure panic had set in. The final count: 47 messages across text, voicemail, email, and social media. The last one from Amanda at 11:30 p.m. Please, Wayne, they are saying this could be criminal. I am sorry about Friday. We never meant for you to get hurt. It was just supposed to be a joke. Please call off the lawyers. I love you. I have always loved you. I showed the messages to Sarah, who added them to our evidence file. The transition from threatening to begging is textbook, she noted. They know they have been caught. I felt no satisfaction in their panic, no joy in their fear. Only a profound sadness for the years wasted loving someone who had seen me as nothing but a target. 2 weeks after the snowstorm, we met for the first mediation session. Amanda, Richard, Diane, and Jackson arrived with 2 expensive-looking attorneys, all confidence and entitlement, as they entered the conference room. That confidence visibly faltered when they saw not just Sarah, but representatives from my construction company's legal team, the county prosecutor's office, and most surprisingly, a detective from the State Financial Crimes Unit. This is an ambush. Richard blustered, his face reddening. We were told this was a simple divorce discussion. This stopped being simple when you left Mr. Harper to die in a blizzard. Sarah responded coolly. And it became a criminal matter when we uncovered your family's pattern of fraudulent activity. Over the next 3 hours, our side methodically presented the evidence, the fraudulent documents, the financial paper trail, testimonies from the plow driver and motel owners about my condition that night, statements from previous victims of the family's schemes, and most damaging, Taylor's detailed account of their marriage projects. Amanda's eyes grew wider with each revelation. Halfway through, she tried to approach me during a break. Wayne, she whispered urgently, we can fix this. I really do care about you. Friday night got out of hand, but I never wanted Miss Blackwell. Sarah interrupted sharply. Any communication with my client must go through proper channels. The final blow came when the detective revealed that they had obtained a search warrant for the Blackwells' financial records going back 10 years. We have identified at least 7 previous incidents following the exact same pattern he stated, 2 of which ended with suspicious accidents resulting in life insurance payouts. Richard, the family patriarch, who had been so intimidating just days earlier, seemed to physically shrink in his chair. His attorney requested a private consultation, and when they returned, their entire demeanor had changed. We are prepared to offer a substantial settlement, the attorney began. When the session ended, I had secured full restoration of all funds taken from me, return of the house deed to my name alone, significant additional compensation for emotional distress, a restraining order against all Blackwell family members, the assurance that criminal investigations would continue regardless of our civil settlement. As I left the building, I saw Amanda being led to a separate car from her parents. She looked small and defeated, nothing like the confident woman who had laughed while I froze outside our home. For a moment, our eyes met across the parking lot. I expected to feel rage, hatred, or even satisfaction. Instead, I felt something unexpected: freedom. The chains of manipulation, gaslighting, and false love that had bound me for 4 years were finally broken. I moved out of the motel that week into a temporary apartment while deciding what to do with the house. Too many painful memories lived in those walls now. Eventually, I sold it and used the money as a down payment on a cabin near the Street Croix River, something I had always wanted, but Amanda had dismissed as too rustic. The legal proceedings continued for months. Richard and Jackson eventually faced criminal charges for fraud and financial crimes. Amanda, in exchange for testimony against her father's broader schemes, received a lighter sentence, probation, and mandatory counseling. My coworkers and friends rallied around me in ways I never expected. Tom promoted me to senior project manager, saying anyone who could handle that level of personal crisis with such professionalism deserved advancement. Derek and his wife insisted I join them for weekly dinners until further notice, refusing to let me isolate myself. I started therapy to process the betrayal and manipulation. My therapist helped me recognize the red flags I had ignored, the boundaries I had allowed to be crossed, and the subtle ways I had been isolated from my support network. The healthiest response to unhealthy people is distance, she told me during one session. You walking away that night, that was wisdom, not weakness. Nearly a year later, I ran into Amanda at a grocery store in a neighboring town. She had lost the polished look she once maintained, her designer clothes replaced by simple jeans and a sweatshirt. She worked as a cashier now, her family's business assets frozen in ongoing legal proceedings. "Wayne," she said, clearly startled. How are you?" "I am doing well," I replied honestly. There was no satisfaction in seeing her reduced circumstances, no desire for revenge or continued suffering. "I'm sorry," she said after an awkward silence. "For everything. I know that does not fix anything, but I need you to know that I am getting help now. The therapists say I have spent my whole life being trained by my parents to see people as opportunities, not humans. It does not excuse what I did to you, but I am trying to understand it." I nodded, not sure what to say. Part of me wanted to lash out to hurt her as she had hurt me. A larger part recognized that continuing the cycle of pain would only keep me tied to the past. "I hope the help works out for you," I said finally. "Goodbye, Amanda." As I walked away, I realized something important. The most valuable thing I had gained from this painful chapter was not the financial settlement or legal victory, but the wisdom to recognize authentic connections versus manipulative, honest. The betrayal in that snowstorm had nearly killed me, but it also gave me the chance to rebuild a life on my own terms, one based on genuine relationships, healthy boundaries, and self-respect. These days I look for actions rather than words, consistency rather than intensity, and respect rather than flattery. The red flags I once ignored now stand out like beacons, guiding me away from potential harm. Walking away from that house during the blizzard was the first step in reclaiming my dignity. Every day since has been another step forward on the path to a more authentic life. The pain does not vanish. Trauma leaves its mark, but it no longer defines me. Instead, it has transformed into a source of hard-won wisdom that I carry forward into each new day. Have you ever experienced betrayal from someone you trusted completely? How did you find the strength to move forward? Share your story in the comments below. If this journey of overcoming manipulation and finding strength resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe for more stories of resilience and transformation. Remember, sometimes walking away is the strongest move you can make. Thank you for listening, and I wish you genuine connections in all your relationships.